Please welcome Vice President, Machine Learning and AI Services, Bratin Saha.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome, and thank you for being here. I'm Bratin Saha, VP of AI and Machine Learning Services at AWS. When I earned my PhD in computer science, machine learning was a largely academic pursuit. But over the last 5 years, machine learning has transitioned to become a rapidly growing mainstream endeavor. And I feel incredibly fortunate to have been part of AWS during this time and to have been leading machine learning at AWS during this time. Because in large part, this transformation has been driven by AWS. This also gave me the opportunity to help build one of the fastest growing services in AWS history, with more customers doing machine learning on AWS than anywhere else. Now, as a reminder, the AI and machine learning services are part of AWS's overall portfolio of data services that Swami talked about in his keynote this morning. Now, machine learning helps computers learn from data, identify patterns, and make predictions. And so where the AI and ML services come in within the entire AWS portfolio of data services is when you're trying to extract insights from your data and then act on those insights. Now, before I get into the details of our AI and machine learning, let me share an interesting anecdote with you. So from time to time, my friends and colleagues send me books and articles and events of interest in machine learning. So 5 years back, I would get books like this. This is a really deep book on machine learning that has been written for experts and data scientists and researchers. These days, however, I get book links like this. Yes. Babies are now part of the machine learning community. And that tells me machine learning is indeed getting democratized. And the data seems to back this up. According to a McKinsey survey on the adoption of AI, almost 60% of companies now say that they use AI in at least one function in the organizations. And that shows how machine learning has transitioned from being a niche activity to becoming integral to how companies do their business. And in large part, AWS drove this transformation by building the broadest and deepest set of machine learning services. And as a result, today over 100,000 customers do machine learning on AWS. Now, customers approach machine learning in one of three ways. And therefore, at AWS, we have built 3 layers of machine learning services so we can meet customers where they are. At the bottom layer are the machine learning infrastructure services. This is where we provide the machine learning hardware and the machine learning software that customers can use to build their own machine learning infrastructure. And this is meant for customers who have highly custom needs, and that is why they want to build their own machine learning infrastructure. At the middle layer is Amazon SageMaker. This is where AWS builds the machine learning infrastructure so that customers can focus just on the differentiated work of building machine learning models. And because customers just focus on the differentiated work, that is where most ML builders are. And then at the top layer are our AI services. This is where AWS embeds machine learning into different use cases, such as personalization, such as forecasting, anomaly detection, speech transcription, and others. And because AWS embeds machine learning into these services and customers can call these services, they are able to embed machine learning into their applications without requiring any ML expertise. Now, customers across every domain and across every geo, more than 100,000 of them, as I said, are using these services to innovate at a very rapid clip. And since machine learning is now so important for innovation, I want to spend the rest of this time on talking about the key trends that drive machine learning innovation, the key enablers that let customers scale out their machine learning innovation, so that as you're thinking about your own machine learning strategy, you can consider how you can leverage these key trends. And this should also give you an idea of where machine learning is headed. To innovate with machine learning, it's really important to be able to leverage these 6 key trends. First is the exponential increase in the sophistication of machine learning models and being able to use the latest models. Next is harnessing the variety of data available to train machine learning models. Then comes machine learning industrialization, or the standardization of machine learning infrastructure and tools. Then there is ML-powered use cases, or automating use cases by embedding machine learning into them. Then there is responsible AI, or making sure that we are using machine learning in an appropriate way. And finally, there's ML democratization. In other words, making sure that more users have access to machine learning tools and skills. Let's now dive deeper into the first trend, and that is the exponential increase in the sophistication of machine learning models and how you can use these latest models. Now, one way in which we measure the sophistication of machine learning models is by counting the number of parameters within these models. You can think of parameters as like variables or values that are embedded inside machine learning models. Now, in 2019, the state-of-the-art machine learning models had about 300 million parameters. Now, the state-of-the-art models have more than 500 billion parameters. In other words, in just 3 years, the sophistication of machine learning models has increased by 1,600 times. Now, these models are also called foundation models. And because they're so massive, you can actually train them once on a lot of data and then reuse them for a variety of tasks. And as a result, they reduce the cost and effort of doing machine learning by an order of magnitude. In fact, within Amazon, we also use these foundation models for a variety of tasks. And one of the tasks that we use these foundation models for is actually software development. And we are now making this available to our customers through Amazon Code Whisperer. And so I'm very happy to announce that Amazon Code Whisperer is now open for all developers. Now, Amazon Code Whisperer is a machine learning-powered coding assistant. And it generates code just like a developer writes code. It's based on a giant foundation model that has been trained on billions of lines of code. And it comes integrated with IDEs. IDEs are the tools that software developers use for writing their programs. And so as a developer is writing the program in their IDE, Code Whisperer understands the intent of the developer. And by understanding what the developer is trying to do, Code Whisperer is able to generate code just like a developer writes code. Let me give you a demo of how Code Whisperer works. So you have this IDE, and the programmer is writing some code. Code Whisperer looks at this code and understands this is Python code. Code Whisperer also understands that the developer wants to use AWS APIs by just looking at the libraries being used. Now, all that the developer has to do is write a comment. The developer says, hey, generate me a function that loads data from S3 and use encryption. That's all that the developer has to do. Code Whisperer looks at the context, looks at the comment, understands what is it that the developer wants to do. And then Code Whisperer automatically generates the code. This is amazing. This is transformational. And I would encourage all of you, and I would encourage all of the software developers in your organizations to go try out Code Whisperer, because it's going to change the software development paradigm. Now, many other customers are also using foundation models. To hear more about this, let's look at this video from LG AI.
안녕하세요. 저는 LGI 연구원 김승환입니다. LGI 연구원은 초고대 AI를 통해 인간의 삶을 더 가치 있게 만들기 위해 끊임없이 노력하고 있으며 엑사원을 만들어 다양한 사업에 활용하고 있습니다. 엑사원은 Expert AI for Everyone, 즉 LG가 지향하는 인간과 공존하며 고객에게 훨씬 더 많은 가치를 제공할 수 있는 전문가 AI를 의미합니다. 최근 엑사원을 AI 휴먼의 브레인으로 활용한 AI 아티스트 틸다도 선보였습니다. 틸다가 엑사원을 활용해 생성한 3천여 장의 이미지와 패턴의 영감을 받은 박윤희 패션 디자이너가 올해 초 뉴욕 패션위크에서 200개가 넘는 의상을 선보이기도 했습니다. 이처럼 엑사원은 한 분야에만 역량이 집중된 기존 AI와는 달리 다양한 산업 분야에 적용할 수 있는 것이 강점이며 향후 제조, 연구, 교육, 금융 등 미래 산업의 모든 분야에 쓰일 수 있는 무한한 가능성을 가지고 있습니다.
Isn't it amazing that a machine learning model is generating fashion designs that were displayed at the New York Fashion Week? I mean, 18 months back, this was unthinkable. And so customers are now asking us that they want to be able to use foundation models on AWS. And they want us to make these foundation models available to them on SageMaker, because they don't want to have to build these foundation models themselves. And so I'm very happy to announce that foundation models from Stability.ai are now available on SageMaker. These models are some of the most popular foundation models available today. And these are going to be transformational. These are going to be able to act as assistants to your creative work. And so I'm very happy to welcome Imad Mushtaq, the CEO and founder of Stability.ai. Welcome, Imad.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Amazon AWS, for having me here today. Stability AI is a company we set up 13 months ago, actually. It's been quite a period. Our mission is to build the foundation to activate humanity's potential through AI. What does that mean? These foundation models are just so amazingly flexible, trained on the almost entirety of human knowledge. The nature of these things is that we've seen gigantic models, 540 billion parameters. We've seen flexible models that can do fashion, as we've seen text and others. But we thought, what if we made these models available to everyone? What if we built AI for the people, by the people? To do that, we developed communities. So we have OpenBioML doing protein folding, Karpa doing code and other models, Harmony doing audio, Eleuther AI doing language. And these communities have tens of thousands of developers that work with our core team and our partners to build some of the most advanced foundation models in the world that we then give away to everyone. We give it away to stimulate this sector and to see what can we create around this. The most famous model that we've released is Stable Diffusion, which was led by the Confiz Lab at the University of Munich, with our team, Runway ML, Eleuther, Lion, and many others contributing. And it's an interesting model. In just 2 gigabytes of file size, it can generate any image in any style. We took 100,000 gigabytes of images and labels to compress it down to that. And it's been an absolute revolution. So these, you just type in floral wolf, a color splashed lady, or a cat knight, and that's what you get, all in a matter of seconds. It's taken the world by storm. This is the time to get to 40,000 GitHub stars. So Ethereum and Bitcoin just got there. If you look on the left-hand side, that's Stable Diffusion in 90 days. So one of the most popular pieces of software ever, let alone AI. There you can see Kafka and Cockroach and kind of other things there. The developer community is hundreds of thousands strong, building hundreds of different applications. It runs on your MacBook M1 without internet. It runs on your iPhone now. This is a step change. Last week, we were proud to release Stable Diffusion 2.0, developed entirely at Stability, which is another step forward. It's a cleaner data set, better quality, less bias, and faster. These are some of the example images that were created from that. We worked very hard to listen to community feedback, and so we made it safer. We have attribution mechanisms coming in, and we built this all on AWS. We're happy now to try and take this forward, and I'll give you some examples of the types of things that you can do. It's hit photorealism, or at least it's approaching that. These people do not exist. This content does not exist. These were created in 2 seconds on G5s. These interiors do not exist, but they do now, just from a few words of description. This is a revolution, and you can take this general model and create anything, or Suraj Patel at Hugging Face took 10 images and created a Mad Max world and a Mad Max model in just an hour. You can take your own content and bring it to these models, or in fact, you bring the models to your data. This is one of the revolutions that we've seen, because typically you've had to do massive training tasks where these models know about the world, and then you can extend that knowledge. So hopefully we don't end up like that, although the cars are kind of cool. But it's not enough just to have the models that can do anything. What if the images aren't quite right? We released depth to image that does a 3D depth map that you can then transform one image to another just with words. You can use it, for example, to transform a CEO into a robot or something else. You know? But then if that image itself isn't correct, we can do in-painting. We can make him cool. The ability to transform and adjust these pictures is amazing, and it will be through natural language and new interfaces. Beyond that, you can have things like our 4x upscaler, soon to be 8x. It's a bit like Enhance, Enhance, Enhance on a procedural TV show. This technology is revolution. I mean, look at the whiskers there. It's fantastic. And this technology is getting faster and faster and better and better. When we released Stable Diffusion in August, 23rd of 2022, it took 5.6 seconds to generate an image. Now it takes 0.9 seconds, thanks to the work at our partners at NVIDIA. Today, I'm proud to announce Distill Stable Diffusion. This will be a paper released today, and the model's available very soon on SageMaker. We've managed to get a 10 times improvement in speed. So it's not 0.9 seconds anymore. It usually takes 50 steps of iteration to get to that image, those images that you just saw, in 1 second. Now it takes 5. And in fact, in the last 24 hours, since I submitted this, it now takes 2. What does that mean? It means you're heading towards real-time generation of images in high resolution. That is completely disruptive for every creative industry, and it's something everyone has to get used to now, or any image generation industry. Because what we've done in the last year is we've actually enabled humans to communicate visually. Talking is the easiest, then writing. Visual communication is awful, especially slides. We'll be able to make this PowerPoint presentation just by talking within the next couple of years, and that's amazing. That's why we're delighted to work with SageMaker. AWS and Stability work together to build one of the largest open source public cloud clusters in the world. We have nearly, over 5,000 A100s. Working with SageMaker, we have unprecedented quality of output, unprecedented resilience. And this is across our model suite. So for example, GPT-NeoX from our Eleuther AI community is the most popular language model foundation in the world. It's been downloaded 20 million times. Working with SageMaker, we took it on 500 to 1,000 A100s. To give you an example, the fastest supercomputer in the UK is 640, from 103 teraflops to 163 teraflops within a week of performance, a 60 times performance increase. Scaling AI infrastructure is incredibly hard. Making these models available is incredibly hard. We think that with SageMaker, with the broader Amazon suite, we can bring this technology to everyone, to create not only one model for someone, but create models all around the world and make this accessible. We have audio, video, 3D, code, and all other models coming, and these will be available as tools to use in CodeWhisperer and others for you to create amazing new things, to activate the potential of your businesses, your community, and humanity. And we're super excited to see what you're going to create. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Martha. I'm really excited by what customers will be able to do with Stable Diffusion on AWS. You can imagine as these models start developing photorealistic images and start doing it in real time, all kinds of content generation will get disrupted. Now, I talked about foundation models, and they have billions of parameters, and they need terabytes of data to be trained. And that means they need lots of compute, and they need lots of compute at very low cost. And that is why AWS is also innovating on machine learning hardware. AWS Trainium is a purpose-built machine learning processor that has been designed from the ground up for machine learning tasks. In fact, compared to GPUs, it has twice the number of accelerators, 60% more memory, and twice the network bandwidth. And so what this means is that Trainium can provide you more compute power than any other processor in the cloud. And not just that, Trainium provides you the lowest cost of any processor in the cloud. And because it has such a compelling value proposition, we have been collaborating with a lot of customers for developing Trainium. And so to hear more about this collaboration, let's listen to Aparna Ramani, who's the VP of AI and Data Infrastructure at Meta.
Hello, I'm Aparna Ramani, VP of AI, Data, and Developer Infrastructure Engineering at Meta, and PyTorch Foundation board member. It is my pleasure to talk about Meta's AI relationship with AWS. Our collaboration has been expanding since 2018, when Meta AI researchers started using AWS for state-of-the-art AI research. PyTorch is seeing great adoption among large enterprises and startups, and is a leading machine learning framework today. For years now, Meta's PyTorch engineers have been collaborating with AWS on key PyTorch projects such as co-leading and maintaining TorchServe and making open source contributions to Torch Elastic. More recently, we've been working together on PyTorch enhancements for AWS purpose-built ML chips, Inferentia, and Trainium. We are excited to see AWS launch Trainium-based EC2 instances. Our engineers saw near linear scaling across the Trainium cluster for large language models. Meta has also collaborated extensively with AWS to provide native PyTorch support for these new Trainium-powered instances. AWS contributed a new XLA backend to Torch Distributed that makes it really easy to migrate your models to Trainium instances. This also enables developers to seamlessly integrate PyTorch with their applications and leverage the speed of distributed training libraries and models. We look forward to continuing our collaboration through the PyTorch Foundation and beyond.
I'm truly thankful to the Meta team because I think this collaboration between AWS and Meta is going to make it much easier to use Trainium, PyTorch, and do machine learning on AWS. Let me now get to the next key trend that drives machine learning innovation, and that is harnessing the variety of data available to train machine learning models, harnessing multiple modalities of data to train machine learning models. Now, data fuels machine learning. And so at AWS, we have been building a variety of data processing capabilities so that customers can prepare a variety of data, multiple modalities of data, as I mentioned. So you have SageMaker Ground Truth that can be used for processing images, audio, video, text, and other forms of unstructured data. You have SageMaker Data Wrangler that can be used for processing structured data. And then you have SageMaker Notebooks that can be used for Spark-based data processing. And all of these are allowing customers to train machine learning models to extract insights from data. insights that let machine learning systems answer the who and the what. So for example, if I take a trained machine learning system and I show it this image, and I ask, what is this image about? It'll actually be able to answer, this is an image of a football game. And if I ask, who are in this image? It'll actually be able to identify all the players in this image. But if I ask, when was this game played? Where was this game played? Unfortunately, machine learning models do not do a good job of answering the when and the where. But ironically, most of the data generated in the world today actually comes tagged with geospatial coordinates that let you answer the when and the where. It's just that it's too hard to process this data. And that's because it needs special visualization tools and special data processing primitives. But it's important to answer the when and the where. And that is why we are augmenting our machine learning capabilities to train geospatial data, to train with geospatial data. At this morning's keynote, we announced the public preview of SageMaker's geospatial machine learning capabilities that will now allow customers to train models with geospatial data and answer the when and the where. Now, the automotive industry uses geospatial data in a variety of ways. For example, BMW uses geospatial data for many different use cases. To talk more about this, I'm pleased to welcome Marco Gorgmeier, the General Manager of AI and Data Transformation at BMW.
Thank you, Bratin. Good afternoon, everyone. It's great being here with you. My name is Marco Görgmeier, and I'm heading our Data Transformation Artificial Intelligence unit at the BMW Group. So the vision and the mission of our team is to drive and scale business value creation through the usage of AI across our value chain. Now, looking to our products, at the BMW Group, we believe that individual mobility is more than just moving the body from A to B. We believe it's also about touching the heart, stimulating the mind. And what you see here is the BMW iVision Circular. It's a compact, all-electric vehicle that shows how a sustainable and luxury approach in the future could look like. And we believe this future is electric, digital, and circular. So today, I have an exciting use case for you where we touch on all three of those areas. And before I jump right into the use case, I just want to give you a short overview of where we stand with our data and AI transformation. So we have built up a data analytics and AI ecosystem at the BMW Group, and we had more than 40,000 of our employees engaged here. And they created thousands of curated data assets in the company that can be reused and brought siloed data together. And based on this, they were able to deliver more than 800 use cases with more than $1 billion value since 2019. So we're taking this transformation very seriously, and one main area where we focus on is sustainability. And today, I want to drive you through one specific area there, namely urban mobility. So around 60% of the world's population lives in cities and urban areas, and that's also where 70% of greenhouse gas emissions are generated. So clearly, we can make the biggest contribution here, and that's why we, the BMW Group, are getting involved here. And our vision and also the idea is here to assist city planners in solving problems in those urban areas. And let me give you 3 examples how we do this already today. So we're able of training machine learning models to predict how new traffic regulations, for example, e-drive zones, can favorably reduce traffic and gas emissions locally. We can also help identify where we have insufficient charging infrastructure, since obviously that prevents people from switching to an electric vehicle. And the last example here, based on machine learning models, we can predict how change in pricing policies, for example, for parking or use in certain streets, can impact drivers' commuting routes and therefore estimate like the traffic and emission. So, and all of these problems, they're characterized by geospatial information. So to solve them, we had to extensively use geoservices within machine learning, such as map matching, efficient geohashing, or digital maps. And we opted to test the new geospatial capabilities Bratin just mentioned, and let's see how and with what results. So specifically for our fleet customers, so large company fleet, it's difficult to foresee how their share of electric vehicles will look like in the future. So we set us the goal to train machine learning models to learn correlations between engine type and driving profiles. The rationale behind this was if such a correlation would exist, then the model could learn to predict the affinity of certain drivers for an electric vehicle based on their profiles. Of course, we did this with fully anonymized data and also only on a fleet level, so we could never draw any conclusions to individual drivers. So now let's see how the solution works. So we started from anonymized raw GPS data of where vehicles are driven and parked. And then we converted those GPS traces into routes using map matching. And if a route were a sentence, then the landmarks along the route would be words. So we used a natural language processing model to predict which routes are likely to be taken by EV drivers. In parallel, we built a second model to cluster vehicle parking locations to predict where EVs are likely to be parked. So, for example, near charging infrastructure. Then we merged the two models to triangulate the predictions, and at the end of the training, the hybrid model was capable of predicting how likely it was for specific fleets to convert to EV with an accuracy of more than 80%. So let me show you 3 things that really helped us here to be so quick on building the solution. So one advantage of SageMaker geospatial capabilities is the standardization of common APIs to access, transform, and enrich geospatial data. So, for example, for reverse geocoding, SageMaker provides a single managed interface to APIs by the integration with Amazon Location Services. And they, again, source high-quality geospatial data from Esri and Here.com. So second thing is, with SageMaker, you have pre-built algorithms that split the raw data set along geospatial boundaries, so the data can be used for training and inference. And in the end, of course, you need to visualize, and there are great pre-built visualization tools really tailored to geospatial data. So to sum it up, yeah, we went from idea to solution in just 8 weeks. And we had a high accuracy of 80% in prediction in that short time. So it was really great using the services, and they helped, but we also had a great collaboration with the Amazon Machine Learning Solutions Lab team and our internal BMW team. So Bratin, thank you very much for the great collaboration. And let's move on.
Thank you. Thank you, Marco. Truly inspiring work at BMW. And I'm also really impressed by how BMW has successfully applied machine learning to automotive, because it's hard, and I have some personal experience of it. In a previous life, I worked on self-driving cars, and machine learning then was hard. It was hard to apply machine learning to automotive. And so my management would ask me from time to time, when will these cars work? And I would tell them, look, we got to have patience. These cars have to be at least 18 years old before they can drive by themselves. And in hindsight, what I realized is that we lacked an industrial scale machine learning system. A machine learning infrastructure that would have allowed us to quickly iterate on developing machine learning models, that would have allowed us to make machine learning development robust and scalable and reliable. And that gets me to the next key trend that drives machine learning innovation, and that is ML industrialization. Let me first define what is machine learning industrialization and why that's important. ML industrialization is the standardization of machine learning tools and machine learning infrastructure. And it's important because it helps customers automate and make the development reliable and scalable. Like 5 years back, you would have customers deploying maybe half a dozen models. Now, you have customers deploying thousands of models, and they train models with billions or hundreds of billions of parameters, and the infrastructure often makes trillions of predictions a month. And so when you're talking of billions and trillions, you need an industrial scale machine learning infrastructure. And on AWS, you can use SageMaker for standardizing and industrializing your machine learning development. And tens of thousands of customers are doing that now. In fact, AstraZeneca moved to SageMaker, and they were able to reduce the lead time to start machine learning projects from 3 months to just 1 day. Think of it, 3 months to just 1 day. Even within Amazon, we are using SageMaker for industrializing our machine learning development. For example, the most complex Alexa speech models are now being trained on SageMaker. To hear more about this, let's start with Alexa. Hey, Alexa, I'm curious. How are you able to answer all the questions that people ask you so intelligently?
Hi, Bratton. Thanks for the compliment. There's actually a whole team of applied scientists and engineers who train ML models that power my intelligence.
Thank you, Alexa. I'm pleased to welcome now Anand Victor, VP of Alexa ML Development, who can talk about the Alexa machine learning infrastructure and how they use SageMaker to industrialize the machine learning development.
Oh, it's awesome. Before I get started, I was wondering how many of you are Alexa users in the room. If you're an Alexa user, make some noise. Woo! And if you're a Hey Siri, Hey Google, or Siri user, maybe you should be. I'm kidding. Don't get worried. You know, folks, in my role at Amazon, I'm on fire for ML builders anywhere. I'm really excited to be here to speak about how SageMaker has helped the Alexa ML builders innovate faster. Our mission for Alexa is to become an indispensable assistant, a trusted advisor, and a fun and caring companion. And today, Alexa supports 17 languages with 130,000 plus skills and 900,000 developers building on Alexa. Of course, these are active on more than 100 million Alexa-powered devices. To deliver this awesome experience behind the scenes, Alexa is powered by thousands of ML models that power the billions of customer interactions that happen worldwide. And my team is specifically responsible for the tooling that enables this. Thousands of ML builders building effectively on Alexa. Of course, we need to do this at massive scale, millions of GPU hours. But more importantly, we need to do this securely while maintaining customer privacy. So when we started on this journey with SageMaker, we launched one of our simpler Alexa models to prove that SageMaker does help our scientists innovate faster. And it worked. The scientists for this particular model were so happy. But the broader business teams and the security teams were still not convinced. You know, most of the feedback was, oh no, this is not going to work. We're unique, one-off use cases. And we realized that to really go with SageMaker, we had to either go big or go home. So we picked one of the biggest, most complex critical models for Alexa at the time, the Alexa speech recognition model. And a little bit of mea culpa, they were right. There were gaps we had to fix. So we worked closely with SageMaker and other AWS teams to design a secure foundation. This secure foundation included an air-gapped network, fine-grained permission controls, and a secure browser that enabled our ML builders to interact with the data inside SageMaker. Now, this becomes a standard pattern if you're going to industrialize ML with critical data. With this secure foundation in place, We use the same tools you do to ingest and store training data into S3. And we use the same SageMaker toolset to develop, train, and host ML models. And of course, our ML builders are so happy because you know why? They get to focus on building and executing experiments instead of wasting the time building and managing infrastructure, literally saving them multiple hours every week. And of course, the business teams are happy. Not only did we actually increase the security bar for Amazon by moving our most critical model into SageMaker, the pay for what you use model has helped us increase our resource utilization. This enables us to train more models, more iterations, with the same resources to improve the Alexa customer experience. You know, but of course, it's still day one for us. All these happy ML builders still have a truckload of experiments and features they want from SageMaker for the next wave of Alexa functionality. You know, but before I leave, I want to leave you with some words of wisdom. Some of you in my role, where you own the ML infrastructure for your teams, you're going to go back, you're going to tell them, hey, get your ML models on SageMaker, right? And what can you tell them? You're going to tell them, Braden told you, hey, I saw babies doing it on SageMaker. Yeah, you're going to get beat up. Don't do that. You know, you're going to say, hey, Alexa's running on SageMaker. The most critical model is running on SageMaker. We can do this. But more importantly, my learning has been in a leader who's leading and owning the infrastructure for ML builders. We need to be on fire for ML builders. And they need to hear this from us, not just think it. So before I go, I want to practice this with you, right? I often say, I'm on fire for ML builders. So I'm going to ask you, are you on fire for ML builders in the room? And I want you to say, I'm on fire for ML builders. You guys got that? You're going to say, shout it, I'm on fire for ML builders. You got that? Yes? Okay, who's on fire for ML builders? Oh, come on, guys, louder. Who's on fire for ML builders? I love it. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Braden.
Thank you, Anand. I really look forward to all of the innovations that Alexa comes up with. Now, one of the capabilities of SageMaker that makes it easy for customers to standardize the machine learning development is SageMaker Studio's notebooks. And these notebooks are based on the open source Jupyter notebooks that revolutionize data science by making it easy for customers to prepare data and experiment with machine learning models. And as these notebooks have become more popular for development, we saw an opportunity to make them easier to use on SageMaker. And so I'm pleased to announce that SageMaker Studio Notebooks just launched the next generation of Studio Notebooks, which makes it easy for customers to visually prepare their data, to do real-time collaboration, and to quickly move from experimentation to production. Let me dive a little deeper into these details. Now, machine learning development today is a highly collaborative activity. But what happens is developers use one tool for developing their models and a different tool for communicating with each other. So they're using notebooks for developing their models, but they communicate with each other on email or Slack or other ad hoc ways. And that makes their collaboration a little disjoint. With this new generation of notebooks, SageMaker now allows you to both develop and collaborate within the notebook itself. And what that means is that multiple users can simultaneously co-edit and read these notebooks and files. And not just that, these notebooks are also integrated with source code repositories like Bitbucket and AWS CodeCommit. And that makes it much easier to manage multiple versions of these notebooks that get created as users are collaborating with each other. Now, when you want to go from experimentation to production, today, a data scientist has to take all of the code they've written in the notebook, paste it into a script, convert it into a container, spin up the infrastructure, run their code, and then tear down the infrastructure. Instead, with this new generation of notebooks, all you do is you click a single button. And SageMaker does all of the work of taking your code, converting it into a container, spinning up the infrastructure, running your container, and then tearing down the infrastructure. And so what used to take weeks before takes only a few hours now. Now, SageMaker industrializes your machine learning and makes it much easier and much faster for you to do machine learning deployments. But we didn't just stop there. We also embedded machine learning into many commonly used use cases. And that gets me to the next key trend that drives machine learning innovation, and that is ML-powered use cases. Customers asked us to help them automate a lot of common use cases like document processing, like industrial manufacturing, like personalization, forecasting, anomaly detection, language translation, and others. And so we built a lot of AI services to help customers automate these use cases through machine learning. Let me give you a few examples of how customers are innovating with these AI services. Amazon Transcribe lets you embed AI into your contact center solutions, both on-prem and in the cloud. And Amazon Transcribe supports both post-call analytics and real-time call analytics. So for example, State Auto Insurance, they provide insurance in many different segments. They used Amazon Transcribe's call analytics to be able to glean insights from millions of calls to their customer service representatives. And by using these insights, State Auto was able to increase the efficiency of the call handling by 83%. Wix used Amazon Transcribe's post-call analytics to increase visibility of customer sentiment from just 12% to 100% of the calls. Now, the experience that customers have when they call into your call centers can have a profound influence on how they view your company. And so it's really important that they get all the help they need when they call into your call centers. Now, today, contact center supervisors listen in on a fraction of the calls to make sure that customers are getting the help they need. Obviously, this is not scalable. And so there are many calls where customers remain frustrated. So our customers have been asking us for a solution that enables live call assistance. And so I'm very happy to announce Amazon Transcribe's new real-time call analytics capabilities. This new real-time call analytics capabilities uses machine learning. It uses speech recognition models to understand customer sentiment. For example, it uses speech recognition models to detect raised voices, or prolonged periods of silence, or repeated requests to talk to a manager, or even the use of phrases like, "I'm going to cancel this subscription." And when Transcribe finds these customer issues, it then sends a notification to the call center supervisor in real time, who can then join the call and help both the customer and the agent. Another domain that is getting transformed by AI is actually document processing. And Amazon TextRack lets you embed AI into document processing and automate document processing by extracting things like names, addresses, and other key bits of information from documents. In fact, PennyMac used to spend hours every day processing documents. By using TextRack, they are now able to process 3,000-page PDFs in just 5 minutes. Imagine, 3,000-page PDFs in just 5 minutes. Elevance Health also automated their document processing, their claims insurance, and they have been able to automate 90% of the document processing. Now, customers tell us that they want to be able to automate document processing in specialized tasks like mortgage processing. It turns out that a mortgage loan package can have 500 pages, and it can take 45 days to close. And almost half of this time, almost 20 days, is just spent getting information out of these documents and sending it to various departments. And so I'm very happy to announce Amazon TextRac's new Analyze Lending capability. We built this capability by taking Amazon TextRac and training it on a lot of mortgage-specific documents, like mortgage loan forms and W-2s and pay slips and others. And here is how this works. So Analyze Lending takes a machine learning model and then first understands what kind of a document is it. Is it a pay slip? Is it a W-2? Is it a mortgage loan form or something else? It then uses a second set of machine learning models to extract out all of the information. And not just that, it can actually even flag pages that need review by a human underwriter. So for example, if a page is missing a signature, Analyze Lending will actually flag that page for the human underwriter. And that makes it a lot easier to automate document processing. Another domain that is getting transformed by AI is industrial monitoring. In fact, by being able to predict when an equipment is due for maintenance, we can significantly reduce equipment downtime. And to enable this for our customers, we launched Amazon Monitron in 2020. Amazon Monitron uses machine learning to predict when an equipment may need maintenance. And it's a complete end-to-end solution. It comes with its own wireless sensors, its own gateway, and its own app. And best of all, it needs no machine learning to be used. So here is how it works. You first have to decide on what equipment you want to monitor, and then once you have decided that, you take the Amazon Monitron sensors. These just work out of the box, and they measure your equipment's vibrations and temperature. So you just take these sensors, attach them to your equipment, and then wire them to the gateway. And that's it. Amazon Monitron sensors then take your equipment's temperature and vibrations, stream that data to the cloud, where machine learning models analyze your equipment's data, and if they find any anomalies, they send an alert to the app. To hear more about Monitron in action, please welcome A.K. Karan, the Senior Director of Digital Transformation at Baxter.
Thank you, Brad. Yeah, hello and good afternoon. I'm A.K. Karan, the Senior Director of Digital Transformation for Baxter Healthcare. It's my pleasure and great honor to be here today. Since 1931, the Baxter name has stood for excellence and innovation. We are a global manufacturer of healthcare and life-saving products. We have a pretty broad portfolio, and we are driven by a higher purpose with a mission to save and sustain lives. So if you've been to a doctor's office, which I think most of us have been, or say been in an emergency room, or say been in surgery, you have been touched by one of the many products that we make. Our impact is felt by 350 million patients whose lives we touch in a year, their families, and their friends. As a company, we have over 70 manufacturing sites, which are located globally, and we run 24/7, 365. And as any other manufacturer, our supply chain is very complex and very dynamic. So what does it mean to us, right? So if we have to keep our operations running trouble-free, non-stop, equipment reliability is going to be key. Every minute of production counts for us, and every instance of downtime that we can avoid is very critical and highly crucial. Let's say it could be a HVAC system that is providing conditioned air to a clean room assembly process. Or it could be a pump that is supplying water to a steam generator. Or it could be a motor that is driving a high-speed conveyor line. When one of these systems fail, we have a catastrophe on our hands. So as we started exploring tools, we were looking for some predictive tools. Tools that can give us insights before the systems will go down or fail, as opposed to having a condition-based monitoring tool or time-based systems to kind of take us into the next generation. And what we found out was Amazon Monitron has some unique capabilities. First and foremost, right, there's a plug-and-play system. As Bratin showed in his previous slide, for us as a consumer, we have to just stick the sensor onto the device. It's literally flipping a button. Stream the data to the cloud. The system has inbuilt capabilities to do all the analytics and give us alerts to let us know when things might go wrong. We are looking for a system that was agnostic, meaning we have systems that are 5 years old or 50 years old, but if the system is in good shape, we wanted to have the system deployed across the board. So the system made it, the Monitron made it a breeze. The third was we were looking for ease of use in terms of deploying the sensors, scaling it up, ease of use of the software and the mobile app. It gave us what we wanted. But the biggest game changer, or the biggest driver, was the embedded machine learning and AI capabilities. The system has capabilities to develop a custom signature profile or a temperature profile for every single asset. So this helped us scale very fast to thousands of our assets. And this indeed was truly a game changer for us. In one of our early use cases, we saw, this is one of the HVAC systems that is providing conditioned air to a group of machines. And what we found out was we got an alert from the Monitron. What our technicians found out, the gearbox on the system was in a pretty bad shape. So they planned for the downtime event. They took it down, replaced the hardware, and put it back into good health. If we had not reacted to this alert, it would have created a very serious supply chain issue for us. So thanks to Monitron for helping us identify this issue and react in an appropriate time manner. Our journey with Monitron has been very exciting. We started with a group of sensors. I would say like 300 to 400 sensors. We wanted to deploy, kind of get a feel for it, see how it operates in real life. We saw some good success. From that, we launched it to the entire site. And this is for one of our lighthouse plants we have in the US. And now, based on all the results we have, we are scaling this across to all our global sites in a very prudent time manner. What we've seen so far, we have seen around 500 hours of downtime elimination. And this impacts to 7 million units of production. But the bigger impact is we have been able to supply life-saving products to our patients on time, and this cannot be any more gratifying. On the operations front, and these are my team that really took a Monitron and they deployed with the entire site. There's a myth that says, machine learning and AI is going to be eliminating jobs. In our case, that is not the case. It has augmented our workforce. It is driving higher productivity levels. And our engineering team has not been ever more excited. Before, they used to go on rounds. They used to check every single hardware or device. They used to log the data. They don't do that anymore. Because Monitron, with its capabilities, gives us actionable alerts, helps us to be more efficient. Monitron has really helped us to democratize machine learning and AI on our shop floor. But the biggest benefit that we've seen, the system has really put a smile on our engineering team's face. And ladies and gentlemen, this is only a start in our digital transformation journey. Thank you. Bratin?
Thank you, AK. Awesome work at Baxter. It's an amazing example of how a company is transforming an entire domain with AI. Now, all of this great innovation that I've been talking about would not be possible unless we knew how to use machine learning in a responsible way. And that gets me to the next key trend that drives machine learning innovation, and that is responsible AI. According to IDC, the global spend on AI-related technologies will exceed $200 billion by 2025. In fact, more than 50% of executives say that AI will transform their organization in the next 3 years. With that growth in AI and machine learning comes the realization that we must use it responsibly. Now, what does it mean to use AI in a responsible way? At AWS, we think of it along these 6 key dimensions. First is fairness, or in other words, the machine learning system must operate equally for all users, regardless of race, religion, gender, and other factors. Then there is explainability, or in other words, we must be able to understand how the machine learning system operates. Then there is robustness, or in other words, there must be a mechanism to ensure that the machine learning system is working reliably. Then there is privacy and security, which is always job number 1 at AWS. Then there's governance, which means there must be mechanisms to make sure responsible AI practices are being used. And finally, there's transparency, which increases customer trust and makes it possible for them to make informed decisions about how to use your systems. Now, talking about transparency, I'm really pleased to announce a new transparency tool for our AI services called AI Service Cards. Now, we are announcing these cards now for Amazon Rekognition, Amazon Textract, and Amazon Transcribe. And these will serve as a single-stop shop for all of the responsible AI questions of our customers. They represent our comprehensive development process that spans all of the dimensions of responsible AI that I talked about previously. And they go into the model, the systems, the features, and the performance. Now, it's important to build our services in a responsible way. But at AWS, we are also taking a people-centric approach and educating developers on responsible AI. And that is why I'm pleased to announce a new course on fairness and bias mitigation as part of the AWS Machine Learning University. This free public course has more than 9 hours of tutorials. And once you've taken the course, you will realize why bias happens in practice and how you can mitigate it with scientific methods. Talking about education gets me to the last key trend that drives machine learning innovation, and that is ML democratization, or making machine learning tools and skills accessible to more people. Customers tell us that they have a hard time, they often have a hard time, in hiring all the data science talent that they need. And to address this, we launched Amazon SageMaker Canvas at last year's reInvent. Canvas is a completely no-code tool for doing machine learning. What this means is that Canvas prepares your data, builds your models, trains your models, and then deploys a fully explainable model. All of this without the user having to write even a single line of code. And so what this means is that data analysts, marketing professionals, sales professionals, finance professionals, anybody that uses data that would benefit from using machine learning but may not have the coding skills, may not have the machine learning skills, can actually now do machine learning. And so analysts at Samsung are using this for forecasting. At 3M, they're using it for operations improvements. At Siemens, they're using it for supply chain research. Now, it's important for us to make our services easier to use, and we're going to continue to do that. But AWS is also investing in making machine learning, in training the next set of machine learning developers. Amazon has committed that by 2025, we will help more than 29 million people improve their tech skills through free cloud computing skills training. Then there is AWS DeepRacer that has now educated more than 320,000 developers in more than 160 countries. We also have the training and certification programs that are part of AWS Machine Learning University and available for free to the public. And then lastly, earlier this year, we launched the AWS AI and Machine Learning Scholarships in partnership with Intel and Udacity. And till date, we have been able to train more than 20,000 underserved and underrepresented college and high school students on foundational machine learning concepts. and prepare them for careers in machine learning. So to summarize, machine learning is no longer the future. Machine learning is the present that needs to be harnessed now. And if you want to harness machine learning, you want to be able to leverage these 6 key trends. First, leverage the exponential increase in the sophistication of machine learning models and use these latest models. Harness the variety of data available, the multiple modalities of data available to train your machine learning models. Industrialize machine learning in your companies. Use machine learning powered use cases for automation. Make responsible AI an integral part of everything you do. And then democratize machine learning in your companies so that more employees have access to machine learning tools and skills. Thank you for coming, and enjoy the rest of re:Invent, and please fill out the session survey. Thank you.